Get ready to witness an all-encompassing tour de force Oscar-worthy performance by Mia Goth in A24's prequel to X, Pearl, written and directed by Ty West, who did The House of the Devil, The Innkeepers, as well as X. Okay, I'm going to drop the old-timey radio voice right there, but X, that came out in March. And they already have a prequel out. That is certainly a quick turnaround. Don't turn around, it's a prequel to XOO. That had a lot of violence and a lot of sex because it was called XOO. So, X, I fucking loved. I was really, really excited. My expectations were sky high. Mia Goth was phenomenal. Brittany Snow was phenomenal. And it turns out there was more to the story. And it wasn't just a story, Morning Glory. It wasn't just the word, hummingbird. We got to find out exactly how Pearl came to be with this prequel. But you have to wonder, how in the world did they do a prequel so goddamn fast? Well, a little bit of trivia. They filmed this in New Zealand during the pandemic, and they had to quarantine. And they really wanted to make this goddamn movie, so great fucking dedication there by everybody involved. And they said, okay, we're going to make this movie. So Ty West and Mia Goth were talking about the idea of a prequel. They were just hoping A24 would finance it. And A24 is my favorite goddamn studio. I love A24. I would get A24 tattooed on my goddamn body if I wanted to get a tattoo, because I fucking love A24 movies. 95% of their stuff is good to fucking phenomenal. Some of my favorite movies of the last couple years. And Waves. Waves was my favorite movie of 2019. Goddamn great. A24 knocked it out of the park. A24 is fucking great. Okay, enough praising of A24. They were hoping that A24 would fund the prequel. And it turned out that X was so wildly successful. Okay, that was a terrible pun. I'm assuming I'm talking to nobody because they turned it off because they're like, this pun's terrible. Click. Basically, we got this prequel out of it. And it's a good thing. I'm just shocked it happened so quickly. So they basically filmed the movies back to back. Like Sleepaway Camp 2 and Sleepaway Camp 3. Except, unlike those, X was really good. And Pearl. Mia Goth helped write this as well. And she stars in it. I'm assuming she also made coffee and helped produce it or something, because Mia Goth has been one of my favorite actresses for a while. She was great in Suspiria, the remake. She was great in X, as I mentioned. And it's a make or break movie. If she wasn't good in this, it would be terrible, because it's basically her movie. It's Pearl's movie. Mia Goth is Pearl. Einhorn is Finkel. Finkel is Einhorn. Mia Goth, if she does not at least get Golden Globe consideration for this role, then there is something fucking wrong with the goddamn Academy. I don't think she's going to get an Oscar, even though she should. And I'm going to give you an example. Great performances in A24 movies. Florence in Midsommar, fucking goddamn great. Morford Clark in Saint Maud. But here's the performance I'm going to compare Mia Goth to. Toni Collette in Hereditary. Maybe she doesn't quite have the iconic line, like, Toni Collette, don't you yell at me, you little shit. I am your mother. That kind of stuff. I can't even encompass it. It's just that goddamn great. But Mia Goth, she plays Pearl perfectly. Just depending on the scene, just depending on how unhinged she is, how much she wants to succeed. This performance is so fucking captivating that even though the premise is far-fetched, even for the year that it's set in, and it's set years and years before before X, before the original. Feels weird to say the original, considering the original came out literally 6 months ago. It starts in 1918, which actually is a fitting year, because 1918 was the beginning of the Spanish flu, the influenza, the first pandemic. And now it's kind of fitting, given the shit that was going on during the time they were filming it. And it was smart, and it was a great setting. Pearl lives on her parents' farm. Pearl's father, we don't even get to know his name, or if they mention it, they don't even bother to really put it in the credits. Matthew Sutherland, who's been quite good in other movies. He doesn't get to do much because he's sick. He's the guy in the wheelchair you probably see in the trailer. There's a guy playing the projectionist, David Cornsweet. He's actually quite good as well. Then there's Tandy Wright, who plays Ruth. I farted. If you're a non-MST3K fan, you have no idea what I'm talking about. And there's Howard, not Howard Bensamum. We're not going with Murder by Death, but no, her future, her husband at the time, and then her husband in the other one. Not played by the same guy, obviously, but he He's in this, played by Alistair Sewell. I assume no relation to Rufus Sewell, who was in Dark City and such. But one other performance I want to point out is the character of Misty. Emma Jenkins Purrow. Leroy Jenkins. No, Emma Jenkins Purrow. This is her feature credit. She is really good. She does not get a ton of screen time, but she steals it every time she's on there. And I mean that in the most positive way. She is great in this. She is, like, she's got potential to be a fucking superstar later on. She's got a great look, great delivery in this, and considering, again, the fact that this film was made so quickly after the first one, she cranked out a really good performance, really good supporting performance. But Mia Goth was goddamn great. Again, living on her parents' farm, she has big dreams of becoming a dancer. That's basically it. She wants to become a dancer. She wants to keep on dancing decades before the Gentrys ever thought of that. And if anybody knows who the fucking Gentrys are, I will be amazed. So she has these dreams of being a dancer. She's also a bit unhinged, which I think you probably could have gathered had you seen X. And even if you haven't seen X, Mia Goth just has that aura behind her where you're just like, she plays that crazy look, just the look she has, the smile she has, where you're just like, fuck me and I'm gonna fuck with you back and you're not gonna like it. But she basically doesn't have a good relationship with her mother. Since her dad's sick, they have to take turns taking care of him. She has to take a bike into town and get medicine, but she's obsessed with picture shows. And it's 1918, so there's silent movies, there's some music, but nevertheless, she forms a relationship with this projectionist, David Corenswet. And he's like, well, you should really try to get into dancing like this. You could do that. You could do that stuff for the picture shows. Come back anytime, and I'll put you in the projection booth for free. You might think that he's trying to possibly assault her, but it turns out he's actually kind of sweet on her. And Mia Goth is a beautiful woman, so I wouldn't necessarily blame him. But boy, that tends to be somebody's undoing whenever you get with somebody like this. But the whole point is it just Mia Goth plays this so well. I can't state enough just how great she is. From the very beginning, to the fantasy she has of being a dancer, to kind of get, and her husband Howard is off at the First World War, as opposed to the other First World War that was taking place. But he's off there, and she feels abandoned. Emma Jenkins Purrow plays the sister-in-law, and she has a good relationship with her. But on their farm, on the parents' farm, the animals are all, there are less and less animals, even though she takes care of them. There's also the alligator that was there from the first one. Maybe not the same one. I don't know. I don't know necessarily. I mean, that would be kind of amazing if it was the same alligator, which would imply alligators live for about 60 to 70 fucking years. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. Maybe there's alligators from prehistoric times. And that means that we're going to get devoured by them. Nevertheless, speaking of devouring things, Mia Goth devours every goddamn bit of scenery here. I can't get over how fucking great this was. I'm going to talk about spoilers in just about, 30 seconds or so, but fucking goddamn hell, this was great. Great. And sure, it takes a bit to build stuff up before it really gets to the violence, but when it does, boy, does it ever. And it all makes sense. It all layers it for what we get in X. And I am going to just say one thing, because A24 put it out on their YouTube channel. They're doing a third one. They're going to go with Maxine from X, and it's going to be in 1985, and she's going to continue to try to make it in Hollywood, in the porno industry. They're doing a third one. By this time next year, we may have a fourth one. They may never end these movies. We may go into space at some point. Actually, I think Maxine is probably going to be the last one. But Ty West has struck gold here. A24 has struck gold. And once again, Mia Goth, comparable to Toni Collette in Hereditary. Needs fucking Oscar consideration. She was great in this. Great. The particular part where she does a dance number. Whew! You can just see the unhinged nature about it. But man, this is really, really goddamn good shit. So it is in theaters. Absolutely check it out. Pearl is fucking goddamn great. Absolutely fucking phenomenal. I fucking love this movie. I'm done gushing about it. I will get into spoilers here, but check it out in theaters. 100% worth it. Just, God. And again, Emma Jenkins Purrow, really, really good in this as well. Everybody actually was really good. because there weren't a lot of cast members. 3, 2, 1, spoilers. Yeah, there weren't a lot of cast members. But okay, we'll get into spoilers now. So, here's the fucking deal. Basically, Pearl ends, because Howard's off, maybe he died in the war, maybe he found another woman, no fucking idea. She doesn't have the best relationship with her mother. Basically, what ends up happening is they're German, and there's a lot of German, the German subtitles, which is a good thing because that's the native language of the mother, but the father can't speak. That's kind of Matthew Sunderland does a great job, just being a wheelchair-bound guy, but still, And David was great as a projectionist because you can sense that he means well, but also maybe he is, I don't know, a little bit of an asshole. But also it turns out that Pearl is just absolutely fucking batshit insane. And hell, in near the beginning, she, like within the first few minutes, she kills a fucking goose and feeds it to the goddamn alligator in the little swamp area. And then as things go on, she gets some more. She, has an issue with her mother after seeing the picture show and not bringing back the proper amount of money. It's like, you need to understand. We're your family. I've sacrificed a whole lot. You have to be here for us. You can't just follow these fanciful dreams. You will fail. And maybe she's right, maybe she's not. Well, then it turns out that things really kick up a little bit after she meets this projectionist guy, and a little bit later when she has a slap fight with her mother, pushes her mother into the fire, and then tries to stop a fireplace where her dress catches on fire. She tries to throw some boiling water on her from like when corn was being boiled, and her mother's all burned and everything. And then she throws her mother in the goddamn cellar because she has fucking had it. She has just gone absolutely batshit insane. And it's just more unhinged, more unhinged. She basically ends up killing her dad at one point by suffocating him with a pillowcase. This is after she kills her mother and throws her in the basement. She leaves her dad. She goes off with the projection, or to the projectionist, projection room. Where else would he fucking live? And fucks him basically. While her husband, by the way, is off doing stuff in the war. Thankfully, not dying, because otherwise we wouldn't have had him in the other one, because that's kind of how death works. It's sort of fucking permanent. Meanwhile, Emma Jenkins, Pearl's character, basically says, "Hey, there's going to be a dance at this church, and it's possible that they may put together a touring group, and we may go, around several cities, and this could be your big break. Come with me and try out." So she has these big dreams of being a dancer and all this and everything. She has these fantasies about being a dancer, and then the stuff with the mother, and then leaving the father, fucking the projectionist, and then, oh God, she has to go back. Well, the projectionist guy says, "Let me take you back. Let me drive you back." He had a car, because cars weren't exactly all that common back then. Takes her back, and then she hasn't killed her dad yet. She kills her dad a little bit later. But she hasn't even cleaned up the kitchen. The kitchen still got the food all over the place. The Misty's mother left a suckling pig that the mother didn't want to have, and that's rotted on the porch. So all this stuff's basically sending off red flags to where, David probably should go. Just go, stop, don't look back. You fuck this girl, it's probably a nice night, but you don't want to be there. She then says, "Oh, well, the stuff got knocked over. We have a dog. I locked her in the cellar as punishment." And then they go out to the barn, talking about this stuff and everything. He had said some big dreams about her being successful and possibly going to Europe and stuff like that once the pandemic was over. And then he's starting to notice, he's like, something's a little bit weird. But he says, "Well, you have your animals and your dog." "Well, I don't have a dog. You just said you had a dog." And then he starts to realize, I need to get out of here. I need to get out of here now. He doesn't try to act too cold. He tries to play it cool, but she suspects, she snaps, he gets in the goddamn car and goes to leave. And then she takes a pitchfork and rams it into his stomach, and then rams it again. And then he ends up trying to drive away, but he's stabbed in the stomach and the chest, and then she stabs him in the mouth, and then sends the car with his body into the river, or into the swamp area, where the alligator no doubt devours him. And then does the performance, does the dance performance at the church. It doesn't go well. Doesn't go well at all. Even though she puts her heart and soul in it, it's not what they were looking for. The male judge basically says, oh yeah, by the way, we're looking for somebody buxom and blonde and this kind of stuff, and you're not that. She freaks out. It's all upset. But she thinks that, oh, her sister-in-law is going to get it. So her sister-in-law is like, hey, let me take you home. Let me take you home. I know you had these dreams. Let me take you home. Pearl's thinking she sacrificed all this because her mother's dead in the cellar, or almost dead in the cellar, because she actually lived for a little bit. She killed her dad with a pillowcase, then went and did the performance. So everything she had is fucking done, and all hinge on this performance succeeding. And then Misty gets a bright idea. Hey, let me talk, pretend you want to tell Howard some things. Let me pretend that I'm Howard. And then it's this incredible monologue. I can't even begin to encompass. She just says all this stuff. She pauses enough to let a few things breathe, but she just goes and goes and goes. I've done terrible, awful, murderous things. I slept with a guy, even though I wanted to remain faithful to you. All this stuff. Mother and father are dead. All this stuff I've done. Started with small animals, worked my way up, and now to people. I'm not a good person. I'm sick. And I hate the fact that you left me and went off to the war and everything. You said you were going to take care of me, and I bet you're not going to take care of me, but I still love you. I still want to accept you, and I want to be your wife. All that she's saying. All this stuff's fucking incredible. And then her sister-in-law says, okay, I'm going to go. Won't say anything. Don't worry. And then Pearl says, congratulations on winning the performance. I didn't win. Now, maybe she did, maybe she didn't. It's entirely possible she was telling the truth. But Pearl wanted to believe it. She had to believe it because what she ended up doing is while her sister-in-law is trying to leave, she walks it in the background, grabs the axe, and starts chasing after her. And then, of course, snaps the heel at the wrong time. She drips, axe in the back, axe in the back, axe in the back of the head. And then she axes her in the goddamn face. Cuts up her body, throws it to the alligator, and all this shit, all this rotted food, all this stuff, it's ridiculous. She takes her parents' bodies, sets them up with the rotting, suckling pig, and her husband comes home in his military garb and sees all this stuff, and the final fucking shot is great. She's like, thank God you're home, and just this smile, it will haunt me till the day I die. It's both funny and some of the most frightening shit I've seen. But it's held on for a long time, and she's having tears. She's doing this. Clearly unhinged. Clearly fucking unhinged. Just incredible. Fucking incredible. A+. God damn. If Mia was not on fire here, it probably would have been a C+. Because it hinged on her being good. And boy, she delivered and over fucking delivered. Fucking phenomenal. A+, one of my favorite films of the year. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ricklin. I'll see you soon.